If you watched my review on the original FullMetal Alchemist, you know how I feel about the show. I thought it was an amazing show in its own right, and it might be my favorite anime of all time. But it obviously failed to bring the manga to television, since it ran out of manga to adapt halfway, and had to wing it from there. So if the FullMetal Alchemist show concluded, the idea of a second version of the show sticking to what the manga did with better animation wasn't a bad one. So that's what happened, and in 2009, a second version of the show titled FullMetal Alchemist Brotherhood premiered on networks in Japan, and later received the English dub in 2010. Most fans prefer this show over the original, and this is definitely the more popular one. This ended up being the first version I watched, since my friend Brandon was the one who introduced me to the series overall. He said the first one didn't have as good a quality as Brotherhood, and Brotherhood has a better story. Most fans think this, and there was even a suggestion on my 2003 FullMetal Alchemist review to check out Brotherhood, since it was the definitive one. So it's clear many people regard this version as a really amazing show. So now it's time to go over what makes this show so beloved, and to see if I think it tops the original. Let's find out. The plot for FullMetal Alchemist Brotherhood is at first beat for beat the plot of the manga and the original TV series. Ed and Al try to use alchemy to revive their mother, which they fail at, and Ed loses his arm and leg while Al loses his entire body, but is given the body of a nearby suit of armor just in time. The weird thing about Brotherhood is it expects you to have either read the manga or watched the original show before watching this version, because not only does it kind of rush through Ed and Al's backstory, but it introduces the concept of alchemy, several key characters, and foreshadows so many things that kind of ruins a few tricks that the show later has up its sleeve, only in the first episode. Not only that, but the entire first half of the original FullMetal Alchemist takes place in 9 episodes. Yes, 9 episodes. I understand they did this because they expect most viewers to already know the whole setup of the show, but this sucks for beginners. And trust me, I would know. The first episode was so freaking crazy, Brennan had to pause the show and explain what was happening. Fortunately, after the rushed 9 episodes, the show gets way better from there. Just like the original, I can't go into specifics since that will spoil a few things, but trust me when I say this version has a really good story. That's paced pretty well, has several mysteries that result in satisfying conclusions, and has really intense moments that keep the viewer on the edge of their seat. The homunculi weren't as memorable as the original counterparts, but they were still serviceable, and services the plot in a favorable way. Overall, Brotherhood does a terrible job introducing newcomers to the world of FullMetal Alchemist, but after that, the story gets really good and has really good mysteries and plot points that not only separates itself from its older brother, but makes itself unique and great in its own right. I would like to compare the two stories, but honestly, they're so freaking different from each other, it's kinda hard to compare. But this show does have an amazing story which deserves to be praised. The animation in this show is not only really good, but easily beats the original show in comparison. A few tiny things like lighting was done better than the original, but this show's animation, dare I say, is the best animation in any anime show I've ever seen. It's still not the best animation I've seen ever, since Spider-Verse still has that title, but this animation puts other shows to shame, much like its predecessor, but better. Mustang, Scar, and Hughes are still my 3 favorites, but new characters like Ling, General Armstrong are really nice additions that are now amongst my favorite of this version's characters. Overall, these characters are handled just as well as their counterparts in the original show, and the characters would have been overall better if the homunculi weren't beat out by their original counterparts. But then again, the homunculi not being as fleshed out as they were in the 03 version services the plot better, so what are you gonna do? There's also a few additional things I like to touch on. The first thing is the openings. The openings to the show are shot greatly in the music. The freaking music. I can't showcase to you guys how good the music is, but believe me when I say the openings are magnificent. Another thing is the voice acting. I didn't get a chance to touch on how good the voice work is in the original, but believe me when I say it's better in this version. One nitpick I like to mention is the fact that they reuse music cues a bit too much. Whenever there's an intense scene, the same dun 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 sound plays every time. It almost gets comedic at times. It's not hard to see why this show is loved by many people. The overall quality of Brotherhood exceeds the original, which somehow looks better than some modern anime. So yeah, this show looks pretty impressive. The story is overall amazing, but rushes through the setup way too quickly, which isn't good for newbies to the series. So do I think FullMetal Alchemist Brotherhood is better than the original? Not really. I can see why people would prefer Brotherhood, but I just think the original was paced better and was overall more satisfying when it came to characters and certain plot points. But as fun as it is compared to two, I don't think they were meant to be compared. They're both great in their own right, and Brotherhood, aside from its terrible setup, is pretty good. I think it easily deserves a 4 out of 5. It's a really good show, and I'm glad it exists, but the pacing isn't all that great, and there's a few nitpicky things like repetitive music tracks and the setup that brings the show down 1 point. Some of you may say I'm going too hard on this version, since there's another version of FullMetal out there, and, well, you're kind of right. It may be unfair to the fans of Brotherhood, but if there's another version of something, you have to look extra hard so you can justify its existence. Some of you may not understand, but that's just how I like to operate. Regardless, this show is still pretty good and has earned its praise. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. As always, peace everyone.